Well, it was an important day with a lot of events inside the parliament and outside the parliament. In the parliament, in the plenum, we heard the speeches of the outgoing prime minister and the incoming prime minister. And of course, it was very feisty as we expected. And on the other hand, outside parliament, we saw a large protest with thousands of people who came to protest against this new incoming government. There are some of them also who are still here. Maybe you can hear them a bit in the background with the megaphones. So that's what we had today, like we expected. And now it is official. Yes, Benjamin Netanyahu is back in the prime minister's office where he's been for so many years, 15 years. He's been in this position, heading a government that it will be in the eye of the storm as far as much of the international community looking at this government as the most right-wing that Israel has ever seen. Also, though, we did see some surprises in the last minute as far as the makeup of the government itself. There were still some positions that we weren't sure what was going to happen, particularly the all-important foreign ministry, which went to Eli Cohen, who was very high up on the list of the Likud primaries. He was number 2 in the primaries, but he wasn't considered a candidate for that position. Getting it in the end, Amir Ohana, who maybe could have been the foreign minister, is instead the chairman of the parliament, which is also an important position. And also a bunch of other things that happened, last-minute portfolios that were handed out. We have Ron Dermer, the close confidant of Prime Minister Netanyahu, who used to be the ambassador of Israel to the United States, but is not a lawmaker in parliament, who was brought in as a minister in the prime minister's office as well. So also some shakeups as far as the final makeup of this government, which is finally launched and is underway today.
Alec, we're hearing some demonstrators behind you. What are you hearing from them?
Look, what we heard all day here, talking about corruption, that could mean Netanyahu's trial that is ongoing, or Aryeh Deri, the head of the Shas party, who was kosherized, so to speak, in order to be in that position, thanks to some last-minute legislation. We see some rainbow flags in support of the LGBT community that they feel like they may be threatened by this government. So there's all kinds of opposition for over all kinds of different subjects, and that's something that we've seen in the past few years, that yes, there is an opposition, that they have something in common, that they're against Netanyahu, that they're against the Netanyahu government, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all these groups have enough in common, or a majority in the population, to actually replace him. And we saw that government of Yair Lapid, that was made up of all these different fragments that had that something in common, when they actually had to govern, they weren't able to do so. So now they're in the comfortable position again where they can protest from the outside because they have that target. But in the end of the day, the government has been sworn in and looks set to rule, potentially maybe even the full term, which is something that we haven't seen for quite some time here in Israel.